Welcome to Daily Dose Radio, a 5-minute devotional podcast studying the Psalms verse by verse. Broadcast from the ever-beautiful Sharonville, Ohio, on the sunny side of Cincinnati. Welcome back to class, children. Take your seats. Get ready. We're going to have a pop quiz. What was our word of the day yesterday? Remember? Unity. We talked about unity yesterday. We're going to talk about that again today and hopefully complete the thought. Today we're looking at the second half of verse 2 in Psalm 133. Now we talked about verse 1 and the first part of verse 2. Verse 2 begins the metaphor of the oil, and the oil is running down. It's on the head, it runs down to the beard, and now we're going to see whose beard is it running down to. So today, the second half of verse 2, let me read it for you. Aaron's beard, which ran down upon the face of his garment. So that was the second half of verse 2. Let me read the whole verse. It's like the good oil on the head that ran down upon the beard, Aaron's beard, which ran down upon the face of his garment. You'll have some that'll say that translation of the face of his garment is the hem of his garment. And I just tried to translate again as woodenly as possible. The Hebrew is the mouth of his garments. So, we're talking about the face of or the front of that, and maybe even it's suggesting that which is right beneath the chin, right the collar area of the garment. That could be what is intended. So it's Aaron's beard which ran down. So we talked about yesterday the oil begins on the head. The seed of the will is intended there, I think. Runs down upon the beard, which represents the strength and ability of the individual. But it's just not anybody's beard. This happens to be Aaron's beard, and Aaron's beard has this oil which now is running down again. So it's not stopped. It started with the head, ran down to the beard. Now it's running down onto his garment. And what garment did Aaron wear? Well, he wore the priest's robe, didn't he? So the head is the seat of the will. The beard represents his physical ability, but the robe represents his office. It represents that thing which he is called to do. So the oil unites all three of those phases of the man. His will, his intellect, symbolized by the head, his beard, which represents his strength, and then it also goes down onto the robe, which represents his office. That is, his occupation or vocation. What is it that he's been called to do? Can you really have a ministry if you don't have all three of those things united by the Spirit of God? I say not, especially if you're wearing a priest's robe. If you're wearing some sort of garment of ministry, can you really do what you're supposed to do if the Spirit of God does not unite both intellect and physical ability? It must unite all three. And so I think here in the beauty of this passage teaches us that for the church, we have to have God's very presence to subdue. Sometimes the will and the intellect need to be subdued, and humility needs to rise up. Sometimes the strength of man, our physical prowess, needs to be subdued and humbled so that the Spirit of God can work. And sometimes the Spirit of God must take that office that we hold and do a grand work apart from either intellect or physical strength. You see, we would have everything done according to our wisdom, but the Lord wants it done according to His. And so there, that oil binds all three together. It mollifies the mind and the intellect. It trains and harnesses the physical prowess. And it gives true power to the office that we hold in ministry. I think that we need to look at this metaphor, and we need to rejoice in it and ask God to allow the oil of His very presence to run down our head, onto our beards, and onto our garments, so that we can walk in true unity before Him and serving the church. Join me again tomorrow. We're going to look at the second of the two metaphors and think about the next word, beauty, on Daily Dose Radio. Thanks for listening to Daily Dose Radio. I'm David Smith. The music today has been performed by the Bluegrass Experiment. Thanks again for listening. I'll see you next time on Daily Dose Radio.